Good afternoon. I'm Aaron Heiser of Maker's Leather Supply, and in today's video on Quarantine Classes Live number 6, I believe we're at, we are going to make a money clipper. It's a little bit different than the pattern that we already sell, the template set that we sell. It was just one I was playing around with one day. I kind of liked it, so I kept the design, and I thought that would be a perfect one to introduce in this video. I did make myself a little template just so cutting it out will be a little bit quicker. But it's very simple, 2 pieces. There's the outside piece, there's the inside piece. I'm going to cut the outside piece out of 4 to 5 ounce leather and the inside piece out of like 2 to 3 ounce leather.
And to get this pattern, they go to our website, they put it in their cart, they check out, and it emails them.
Yes, it will email it, or when you check out, it'll also give you a little link right there that you can click on to download it.
Okay.
And it's just a little PDF pattern. It will print out to just a regular size piece of paper, and there's even a measurement on it. I think it's 9 inches, but there's a dashed line around it, and as long as your dashed line measures 9 inches by 7 inches, you've got it to scale already.
Okay.
All right, so I'm going to start by just going ahead and cutting out my interior pieces real quick. Again, this is 2 to 3 ounce. This is just russet tooling leather from Wicked Craig. And yeah, so I'm going to cut 2 of these out in case I screw one up, because I've been known to do things like that. So I am using a scalpel to cut this. I like scalpels because, well, when this blade gets dull, I throw it away and I grab a new one and I'm good to go. Cut that very good right there. So if you notice, like at the end of my contoured slots here on the ends of the pattern, you see that there's a hole punched there. It's always smart when you're doing slots or something like that, or just cutting lines through a piece of leather, that you put a hole punch at the end, and what it'll do is it'll stop that leather from tearing right there. If you added a whole bunch of cards and you know, it really felt stretched out, it would stop it from ripping.
Candy has joined us.
Well, hello there. Welcome. So I'm just marking where I'm going to punch all these holes, and then I'll remove the template and remove the pattern here, and I'll punch those after I cut these little slots out.
And then Tandy threw up a link that they can go and get the pattern also.
Cool. So I'm just going to cut my little smiley faces here. So that's what they look like to me. I did make a couple extra of these little templates, and with today's giveaways, we'll just throw those in there, because why not? Because people like...
But wait, there's more.
Yeah, people like free stuff.
I like free stuff.
Free stuff is good.
Wayne says thank you for all your videos.
Thanks.
Where can I get a nice scalpel handle?
A lot of the tool makers make them. I keep saying I'm going to make a bunch of them because I do have a whole wood shop in my backyard that I've got plenty of scrap exotic woods I could...
Did you say exotic?
Not that kind of exotic there, Joe. Alright, let me grab some little hole punches here, and I'm going to punch those little holes at the ends.
What size is that hole puncher?
I just grabbed a random one. It's 3/32. It's a very, very small one.
Hey, we have somebody from Sweden watching.
Cool.
And Canada.
Cool.
That's pretty cool.
Alright, so I'm just punching these little holes here. And then I'll grab a little bit larger of one for those half holes that are in the centers there.
Rob said it was him and his wife go to on Fridays just to watch our videos.
Cool.
And then Steven said, made the ribbon wallet for my wife's boss. She loved it.
That's awesome.
Oh, and Jim says, I'm awesome. Job on the hat. So that was pretty cool. Thank
There
you.
you go.
Thank you.
All right, and then I grabbed an 11/32, just a random size for this little half hole here.
Now explain why you do the half hole, because some wallets I see don't have the half hole.
Yeah.
But I notice on yours that you do. So.
Well, and on this one particularly, what this will do is we'll marry this piece up to the back, right? And when we create our stitch line, we're going to stitch from this side, and I'm just going to stitch a straight rectangle all the way around this thing. And what that little hole does is then when I go to fold this, that part won't be sewn to the backing here, and that's where we'll slide our money clip later.
Sweet. Okay.
So that's what the half hole's for.
What weight maul are you using?
That one right there is an 18 ounce. That's what I use for my general everyday tooling, small punches, things like that. And then I have a 24 that matches it. It might even be a little bit heavier than 24. It might be a 28. But anyway, that's what I do my heavy stamping or bigger hole punches and things like that. And then I've got one that's 4 pounds for when I really need to just whack the heck out of something. Alright, before the video started, I cut out this back out of this experimental leather that a tannery in South America sent us. It's kind of a Chromex type leather is all it is. It's not like a bridle where it's waxy or anything like that. But I have been playing with my new branding iron, and I wanted to try to brand this sucker, and it didn't get hot before the video, so we're gonna see how it does here. Meh. Not for this type of leather. I've done some other ones recently, like there it is on some veg tan, and it turned out really, really nice. And I've done a couple of bags out of some oil tans that I branded that, man, they turned out really nice. So I thought I'd try it on this, but it didn't really turn out that great, so I'll turn that thing off before I accidentally burn myself or my bench. We may still use this piece, but you can tell there's a lot of something inside there because it melted it down through the back. So yeah, there's a lot of moisture here on the counter where I did it. So as that dries, maybe it'll flatten out a little bit more, and then it will be quite usable. But anyway, so again, this is just a 4 to 5. This one might even be 5 to 6 ounce piece of just regular old leather. It's nothing special to it. But I did also pull out some 4 to 5 ounce russet so that maybe we could stamp one of these up too, and then I'll sew one of them up for the video, and then just later on I'll sew up another one.
Where'd you get the branding iron?
I honestly would have to look. I do know that there's a guy, his company is called Leather Stamp Maker. He makes brass stamps and branding irons and things like that. I've heard great things about him. But honestly, that's a branding iron for my woodwork. As a matter of fact, it doesn't even have the word leather on it like my normal logo does. But I just wanted to play with it with leather as well and see how it did. So yeah, I would have to look and see what company I bought it from. It was more geared towards woodworking and things like that. But there is a guy in the leather industry, leatherstampmaker.com, that I've never bought one of his stamps, but I've seen a lot of people that are extremely happy with them. So, all right, so I'm going to cut out another one of those wallet backs from this piece right here, and we'll figure out some sort of way that we might want to decorate it up and stamp it or something here. Even if we just did a simple border stamp around it, it'd look pretty cool. So yeah, but other than that, I mean, this is a very simple wallet to make. We're gonna glue and sew it up here in a few minutes. It's a pretty easy one.
I like easy.
Yeah. Easy allows for more questions.
Sean said leather stamp maker is awesome, great service, quality, and product.
There you go. So obviously Sean has used them, so. And that guy sent me a friend request the other day. I meant to say something to him, but I hadn't sent him a message yet. Not Sean, but the guy that makes the stamps.
Oh, because I'm sure he was waiting.
Sean's like, what the hell? I didn't send you anything.
Why are you talking to me like that?
Stalker? That's what I do. I stalk. What? Alright, I'm gonna get a little bit of water on this. And I'm gonna put some tape on the back of it. Make sure my desk is clean. I've got a bad habit of gluing things without putting paper down first, so I usually have to wipe my desk to make sure I don't have any stray glue. And I'll tell you what, we'll do the quilted pattern on this, because I hadn't done it in a while, and people love the quilted pattern. And yeah, it's a fun pattern. And it's quick. I feel like I should have washed my hands. My hands are all dirty. I don't like touching leather with dirty hands. Alrighty. So, with this wallet, all we need, we're going to create a defined border with our swivel knife. And then I'm going to just start making some lines for doing a quilted pattern, and then we're going to stamp it out right quick. Shouldn't take more than a few minutes. And yeah. How'd you know what I was about to say?
I know you did. Molly said you need to wash your hands.
See? Even Molly knows. That just tells me I'm using too good of a camera. Back when we had really low quality videos. Alright, let me grab some wing dividers and I'm going to create.
Aaron was a prison guard in the military, right?
Yep. 16 of the most fun years I ever had. Thank God they're over. Alright, so I'm setting this border. It's roughly, it's a little bit less than 1/4 of an inch from the edges here. I just kind of threw one out there. I didn't exactly worry about a specific measurement as long as I know I have enough room for my stitch line outside of it. There we go. Those up so they stay out of the way.
I'm just trying to show people what they look like.
I just regular old pair of C.S. Osborne wing dividers.
Okay.
Tandy sells a really good set. I used them for years and years. I've still got them there. Actually, when I moved everything over here to my office, Doc begged me to leave that pair over there for him to use because he really liked them too. So I left that pair over there. Can't take all the good stuff.
Candy just threw up the link to the wing dividers.
They're quick. So
they are on the ball.
So yeah, I'm just going to use my swivel knife, and when I cut a border, I use my pinky, and I just put my pinky on the edge of the leather, and that's how I try to stay straight, is just dragging along with my pinky hanging off the leather there. Alright, so there we go. Let me get this thing out of the way.
Yeah. We're trying to get close in so we can see here.
Alright, now I'm going to use our ruler, and I'm going to create my lines for the quilted pattern. I'm just going to throw out some crazy angle here. I'm going to start right there in that corner, and I'm going to pull my swivel knife. I'm going to turn this ruler over so that the lines are against the leather and not facing up, and I'll be a lot more accurate with what I'm about to do. So I'm just going to throw out an angle, and I'm going to start in the corner, and I'm going to cut a line right against that swivel knife there. Okay, now let's say I want these lines to be 5/8 of an inch apart. That seems like a good measurement.
And
So,
tell us again who did that swivel knife.
his name's Sergey Neskrasky. I can't say his last name, but anyway, he's in Romania, and he makes really cool swivel knives and brass stamps. So yeah, if you ever have a really great idea, it's almost like having a tattoo. Like, you really have to know what you want, because they're not cheap, and well, they're not crazy expensive. But anyway, it'll be a tool to last forever. All right.
Donnie says, it amazed me how even and precise you can be. Love your stuff. Outback leather.
Thanks. If Outback leather means Australia, I appreciate that, because I know that it's like 3 in the morning or something like that over there. So we appreciate you waking up and joining us. Okay, so I moved, this ruler has a grid on it. We've explained this a few times. Every grid square is 1/8 of an inch. So I want to move it 5/8 of an inch, so that's 5 grid squares. And I'm just going to put my little line on top of the line I cut. So the 5/8 line is on top of the line that I cut on that swivel knife. And I'm going to cut another one. And then I'm going to do it again.
Yeah, the videos save on our Facebook and YouTube, so you can go back and watch it again. No, he's out back in his yard.
Oh.
That's awesome. That
is still awesome. I mean, it's a little bit less of a level of dedication, but we appreciate you regardless.
Yeah. Could be raining in his backyard. I mean, you don't know what he's going through right now.
His sprinkler system is just
amazing.
Crazy, you know? Like, it's sometimes he'll be walking through and it comes on 5 minutes early.
I hope everybody's seeing this. I'm trying to get it at a good angle.
You're not blocking the other cameras, so you're good.
The ruler is the best for quilting. Michael Duran. Your mother agrees too, and she's a quilter.
When I first created this ruler, I gave one to my mom, and I could tell she didn't want to hurt my feelings, so she was like, "Oh, thanks," and she just kind of threw it to the side. And anyway, so whatever, you know, she's been sewing for a long time. She's probably got all kinds of rulers that she already loves. So sure enough, though, about a month later, she calls me and she's like, "Man, I couldn't find my normal ruler, and I grabbed yours. That thing is awesome." She's like, "Can I buy some for my friends?" All right. So I turned it over. I got to the end. Now I need to go back and fill in the spaces that I didn't do there. So I just turned it over, and I'm going 5/8 of an inch this way now. All right, so there we go. That is 1/2 of the quilted pattern. Okay. Now what I need to do is, this is the one that started in the corner, way up here. Okay, and it goes down to right here. So I need to come down and measure across from that one, and that's where I want the one that's going to go this way to land. And that way it doesn't look like it's something that's, you know, falling off the edge of the leather once we do a few lines of it.
Well, one reason why we don't make the templates clear, and especially the ruler, is because when you lay it on your desk and it's clear, it's hard to find. So Aaron started doing the blue because you can find it just sitting on your desk.
Yep.
Versus the clear one, see over there, you can hardly see the clear one.
All right, so I marked where this should come down to, and that way these will be nice and evenly spaced, and they'll have a symmetrical angle to them. All right, so here I am. I'm going to go 5/8 of an inch this way now. And again, 5/8 is just for this project. This looks about right to me. If this was a much larger surface area, then I would probably do something bigger, 3/4 of an inch or even an inch of spacing. But 5/8 just seemed about right for this little wallet back. And then depending on the look that you're going to do with this, I mean, we're going to do the quilted thing, but if you didn't want to and you just wanted the diamonds, if you went through and you dyed or painted every other row of the diamonds, they'd look pretty cool too.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay, did the ones going that way, now let's do the ones going this way. I'm always nervous when I do this pattern though. It's like, I sure hope I'm always keeping the same measurement of 5/8 and not accidentally miscounting my squares. And then you got one line that's definitely going to stick out if it's 1/8 of an inch closer than the others. One more little line to cut, and we're done cutting our lines. Alright, so there's what we're looking at. Right there, just a whole bunch of diamonds.
Oops, hold on. There we go.
Okay, now I'm going to cheat and use a quick push beveler to push down my border. Alrighty. And then some people, when they're doing the quilted pattern, will even bevel all those lines. I personally don't do it. I don't like it as much, but it does have a neat effect to it. There's nothing wrong with doing it. Just some folks like to have that extra feature on there. I used to hate push bevelers. I had a really difficult time with them. But then I just forced myself to continue using it, and now I really like them. Okay. Now I need to find the tools that I use for my quilted pattern, because only after the video started did I decide that that's what I was going to do today. And as a matter of fact, I have some new ones that I haven't played with, and there's the normal tools that I use, and they're called seashell fillers. There's a narrow and a wide.
Do push bevelers come in different sizes?
Not to my knowledge, but I'm sure different makers have a slightly different variation of size. But anyway, I also have these ones that are kind of, I don't even know, they've got like extra lines of texture going across. I've never used them before. I bought them because they look cool, and yeah, I think today's the day. Let's play with them some. So anywhere that I have an acute angle, an angle of less than 90 degrees, I'm going to use the narrow one. And anywhere that I have an obtuse angle, the angle of more than 90 degrees, I'm going to use the wide one. How's that for big words? All right, so I am really bad about missing a spot when I do this though. Let me get it a little bit damp again. I am really bad about missing a spot. I do it all the time. So I'm going to try to keep good track of where all I'm at. And yeah. So basically I'm going to go all the way across one direction with this tool and just keep on giving it hits. This is one of those tools that when I think I'm done, I'll take a picture of my project and then I'll look at the picture and it will immediately show me where I forgot to do this. Because after you've stared at it for a few hours, it's really hard to see where you might have messed something like that up.
Jim says, I got a project I would like a professional opinion on. Can I send pictures to you, Aaron?
Yeah, and I will find a professional and get them to comment on it. And no, I'd be more than happy to help you with your project. Just use on the contact us on our website. You can find my email address, which is a simple email address. It's just aaron.heiser@hotmail.com. And I can do what I can to help you out. Now, there is a way to get away with, these are very keen tools, so of course they're not, cheap. They are very good tools, very well made, good crisp impressions. But anyway, if you make these both at larger angles, closer to 90-degree angles, then you can get away with just having the one size, and you wouldn't need both sizes. But I do like the effect of having both sizes. Alright, now I've finished all of them pointing that direction, and I am turning around and I'm now going to go the other direction. And do it again. And it's going to look awesome once we get all these suckers hit. Oops, forgot a whole line there. Janie had to step out of the room for just a second, so if you're typing in, she will read your comment to me when she gets back. I'm just going to keep hitting this little tool until she gets back. Getting close. Alright, now I'm down here where these tiny little triangles are at the very end. And what I'm going to do is just kick this tool back a little bit so I don't accidentally go over the border with it. Now, as far as I can tell, I'm done with my small tool. Now it's time to pick up the big one. Here's what we're looking at right now. I don't know how much she has that thing zoomed in, so I'm just going to hold it back here. But there's what we're looking at right now with just the narrow ones. And so now we'll use the wider ones and do the sides.
How close is the mystery box coming out?
They're going to start shipping on Monday. That was it. That was the only question while you were gone.
Yeah, hold on. Walton says Tandy has craft aids for the lines.
Cool.
Let's see if I can get in there here.
And Tandy sells the ruler I used.
Yeah, they threw up a link.
That too.
They're good about that.
decided on this extra textured one here. I think it's kind of a neat change, but I kind of like my classic look of my other one.
B.A. Davis says, I got here late. What stamps are those?
These are Berry King seashell feathers.
Yes, as of now, the letter craft show is still on for August.
Alright, so the fourth side. I did 3 sides now. Looking pretty cool. About to do that fourth side, and then that's going to be it. We may throw a border stamp around the edges, but other than that.
Okay, this probably question's for Tandy. Does Tandy have a craft tool approximately of the same stamps? Sure they do.
I know that they've had some similar to this in the past, but I have no idea of numbers or if they are still in production.
We'll let Tandy maybe answer that one. Is it too late to order the mystery box?
Yes.
For last month, yes, but they go on sale from the
10th to the 15th of the month, and then they ship out around the first week of the next month. So like on Monday, we're going to be starting to ship out the boxes that we sold last month, and we had a record month, so there will be a lot of boxes. We did 117 mystery boxes this month, which is a pretty high number for us. So a lot of mystery.
They need to see the ends of the stamps here. Is it this one you used too?
Yes.
So
and again, this one's a special one because it's got the extra texture on it, but there's the normal one that I use.
Okay, so there's. And this one too?
Yeah, that's the wider of the normal ones. But yeah, this one has like a cross-hatch texture to it also, so it's just different.
Yeah, and the videos save on our Facebook and on our YouTube.
Yep.
So you can always go back and rewatch all this greatness.
Or me stamping stuff. Alright, almost there.
So close. Tandy does have something similar to the second one.
Cool. And I've seen folks get creative using camouflage type stamps and things like that, or even a flower center stamp and kind of doing it themselves, and it worked out just fine.
So they went ahead and threw up the link if y'all want to go check out their stamping tools there.
All right, I think I got them all.
Let's see it. Let's see go together. Okay.
So there it is for the YouTube camera. That's still trying to focus on my face and not on what's right in front of it. Alright, now I'm going to grab me a little border tool and go around the outside, around the outside, around the outside, and then, no, you don't have an end today?
No.
This is a very common border tool. I know Tandy's had it over the years.
I'm trying to get it to focus. There it is. Got it.
It's a 7-hole border tool. I tried to grab the one that I think would be about the right size for this project. And I'm just going to quickly go around the outside.
Doug says, do you find when stamping something like this leather stretches if you don't put tape on the back?
Definitely. That's why we put tape on the back. When it stretches, it kind of gets this like bowl shape to it, and it makes it real difficult because like when you're stamping, then this other part over here is flopping up and all that. So yeah, I definitely like to tape my leather and That way it doesn't do that. And then also it causes that when you're ready to put your project together, your piece is now not the shape that it's supposed to be because it's stretched out.
Mary Jane says she uses the F916 tool.
The
stamp.
F916.
Yeah, stamp.
Oh, that's a figure carving stamp. I'm not sure which one, but I'm gonna look at it and see what she's using.
Mary Jane does amazing work, so.
Yeah. All right, halfway bordered, and then we're gonna get to putting that whole project together. Leather's getting a tiny bit dry, so I'm hitting my tool a lot harder, but I don't want it to get it wet again because I'm about to start sewing it. So. I honestly probably should have just left the border off this. I'm not as impressed with it with the border.
I'm not sure when the tanning stores will open in Texas. I'm sure they're kind of watching the situation, and I know that Tandy's staying on top of everything, so we should probably just watch and see what they come up with and let us know.
And we're the same. We're shipping stuff like Dandy is, but we're also not opening our store until we really know what's going on in the world.
Yeah, I mean, it's just safer that way. And, you know, sometimes you just have to be safe.
All right, there should be. Again, I think the border stamp makes it look a little bit too busy, maybe. Maybe I'll change my mind after it's sewn together, I don't know. But, yeah. So, I'm gonna pull my tape off the back here. Now, when pulling your tape off of your leather, don't just grab one side and the other side and pull them apart. I take and I'll put the leather down against the table and I pull the tape back like this, because what you risk is you're still going to stretch all that leather out if you just yank them apart. So hold it down like this, pull your tape off like that, and you will minimize your stretching.
Do you know the dates of the August show off your head? I know it's the
Yes.
week of the 20th.
Yes, the Thursday the 20th will be our big kickoff party that we're having, Maker's Leather Supply. And then the trade show part of it will be the 21st and 22nd of August, which is a Friday and Saturday. But classes will start as early as that Tuesday or Wednesday. For anybody that's never been to one of the big leather shows, the classes are the best part of it. I mean, you can take classes from folks that ordinarily you only read about or, you know, have heard about in your leatherworking endeavor. Years ago, I took a class from Bob Beard at one of these, and it was when I first was really getting into, you know, Maker's Leather Supply. And anyway, I took it with my friend Josh Stevens, and it was an amazing class. It was a lot of fun, and I really learned a lot. And every once in a while, I even get to see the piece that I made because my mom stole it. It was Mother's Day weekend, and I took it to her house to show her because I was so proud. And she was like, "Oh, thank you." She walked straight over to the wall, took a picture down, and hung it up. Damn it.
You know what else I'm laughing about? The light from here is shining on your glasses,
Oh,
and you
so
look
I've
like
got-
you have black eyes. I mean, you look like I just dotted your eyes.
So is that your way of trying to say that I don't actually have the black eyes you gave me last night when you got mad at me over dinner? No? She doesn't look very amused, folks. She doesn't.
Where's your cutting mat?
Well, here's one here. My big gray one was kind of warped, and I thought by like taping it down to the desk it would unwarp itself, but instead it stunk. It did not work well, so.
Should we give something away real quick?
Oh yeah, I guess so.
What do you want to give away?
Well, we'll have this, one of these template sets that we just had made up. And a t-shirt. This one's one of the Tandy Pro templates with Maker's Leather Supply t-shirts. And Janie's figured out how to do some really cool like texturing and stuff. This one is an extra large. So, extra large, extra large. It's a cool shirt. I almost took it. I don't know. First person that writes the word hamburger correctly, they get it. So yeah, we'll set those aside.
Molly Armstrong.
All right, Molly. Good job.
Send us a
Send a message to us with your address.
Okay.
No, don't post it here for everyone because someone will come steal your shirt out of your mailbox.
Yes, they will.
So send us a message with your address. All right. So now we only have 2 pieces to this wallet, and we have to stick them together. Okay. Now the cards are going to end up in this area. Okay. So what we need to glue down is everything else. So we need to glue down the very edges here on both sides. And then we're going to get to stitching. Okay? But before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and create my stitch channels and roll my overstitch wheel across all this while it's nice and flat, because it won't be as flat once it has these little cutouts and stuff in it. So here's my over stitch or my stitch groover and my overstitch wheel. As a matter of fact, we're going to save some time. Instead of using that, I will grab my stitching chisels up there, and we'll do it that way. Bring this in a tiny bit. I'm doing this about 1/8 of an inch from the edge, I guess. A little more. And the last little side here.
And what tool is that?
This is a stitch groover. Tandy's got one. This one's by Barry King. What it's going to do is now my stitches will be inset a little bit into the depth of the leather, and they'll look a little bit cleaner in my opinion. I'm just cutting off these little bitty ends here where I had to lift the tool up. All right. Now, since I'm going to use my stitching chisels up there, my irons, it is time to, I won't use the overstitch wheel, and I'll glue this together before I poke all my holes. So I need to get my contact cement here, and again, I'm just going to do the very edge of this piece, and then I'll glue around the very edge of this piece, and then I'll stick them together. But I don't want to do right up against where this is. I don't want glue protruding out in that area. So I'm going to take my scratch awl here, and I'm just going to kind of mark where that area is so I know not to put glue there. Okay, it's very hard to see because it's the flesh side of the leather, but it's there, so we're good. Okay, so I'm going to be very careful with this. I don't want to get my glue everywhere, because the further in it goes, then the less space I'll have for the card pockets. And I'm going to need those card pockets to be a decent size. One of the other things we're going to do today with this project is we're going to use a edge ink instead of burnishing, just so we can do something different, because we've burnished several edges on this little program we do. And anyway, so that we can learn a new skill. Because so far I haven't shown you anything I haven't shown you in the other videos, other than, you know, just a new style of wallet.
No, I do not see a message from you.
Okay, so I did the edges of this piece, and I'm going to set it aside. And I've said this before, if you accidentally get some of this glue on your the finished side of your piece, do not try to wipe it away while it's wet. Wait a few minutes, it'll be dry, and then you can just roll it right off the edge. Okay, I'm going to use a piece of paper here because I'm already getting glue everywhere.
See, Mary Jane was just like, you don't have paper.
Yep.
And it's contact cement.
Yep. I keep using the word glue, but it's contact cement. And that's why we have to do both sides of each surface, because that's how contact cement works.
Could you use double-sided tape?
You can. However, when you're hand sewing, you can, some of that double-sided tape can get the gooey stuff all over your needles, and it can just be annoying. It's not a problem. But I also, what I like about the contact cement is when I put these two pieces together, the edges will come, you know, so close together that when I sand them a little bit, I can make them look like one piece of leather. And if I use the double-sided tape, it actually puts a little bit of separation in there, and basically you won't have as clean of an edge.
Lewis said he just got our contact cement in the glue jar and he loves it.
Glad to hear. Okay. Roll some of this extra contact cement off my desk while wait on this to be ready to stick together. Okay. Now I'm going to very carefully start at one corner, and I'm not going to press hard to put this together until I know that I've got it good and straight all the way across. So I'm just going to press down a couple of areas real lightly. And then once I know I'm good, then I'll press all the way around. And it looks like we're good to go. And some people, like I said, you know, this glue is going to make it to where it has a really nice seam right here once we do a little bit of sanding. So some people will take a hammer even and kind of tap all those edges together extra hard. I don't do this very often. I'm just doing it to show.
Do we ship to Finland?
We ship all over the world, but I gotta warn them, it's pretty expensive. The United States Postal Service is not very nice to overseas shippers. Alright, let me grab my irons here. Let me use a 7 stitches per inch, and we'll get this sucker knocked out. Now, when using any kind of stitch chisels or anything like that, you don't want to use a cutting board or a cutting mat like I'm normally using with my knives, because these will damage a good stitching chisel, okay? And not immediately, but yeah, over time they'll make them nice and dull for you, and they'll totally screw up your blades, and you won't like them anymore.
Or you might get it stuck and break one off.
So get a piece of rubber or something like that. Tandy sells a product called Poundo Board. Great stuff. I'm sure they're already finding the link. And yeah, You need something that your blades can go into.
Where can you find a hammer like that one you just used?
I'll be very honest with you, that is a very old hammer that I got from Bruce Johnson, who refurbishes old leather tools, and even he said he had never seen one before. I have a feeling it's probably European or French, just looking at its design. But we sell a hammer made by C.S. Osborne that it doesn't have quite as big of a face, but it's the same principle. So basically your requirement for a hammer is that it just needs a really nice smooth face to it. I even saw on Facebook for a while everybody was kind of comparing their hammers and polishing them as much as they could.
That's a 7 per inch.
Yep. And I brought out my larger maul here, so I only have to hit this once. I don't have to beat and beat and beat on it to...
Maul says it looks like a shoemaker's hammer.
It probably started out that way.
Where can I buy these irons? We have them at Micker's Leather Supply.
Yep, there's tons of different stitching irons, pricking irons, all kinds of... These technically are like, the maker of them calls them hybrid pricking irons. A pricking iron technically is just supposed to, you wouldn't even need a maul with it. You just kind of press it on there even, and it just leaves an indentation where you would go back with an awl. But ours are kind of hybrid, and for anything less than like 8 ounces, man, I just give it a whack and send it right through the leather and move on. Printer's going nuts on there.
It recycles.
Alright, so there are our stitching holes all the way around, and as I promised, on the back they have missed that little area right there. So again, we can sew this thing up, and when we fold it in half, there will be a space created there that we can put our money clip in. Okay, so I'm going to grab my stitching pony thingy here and clamp it to my desk, and we'll get to sewing. Now, this is prime time to ask questions if you want, because all I'm going to be doing is stitching.
John, yes and no. We get a lot of orders if we can catch them, and they because sometimes they'll ship them out the same day. So if we can catch it, we can combine and then refund shipping on one of them, but it's not always a guarantee.
Yeah, as of 2 hours ago, everything in our order queue has been shipped. So
yeah,
like the crew has gone home for the weekend.
I'm gonna show this other one here while you get that set up.
Yeah, like our pricking irons come in sets of 2. Whichever stitches per inch number you're looking for, you'll get an 8 prong and a 2 prong. So. Okay. Needles. A couple of needles here. The stitch we're going to use is called the subtle stitch, and it requires 2 needles, and each needle will go through every single hole in opposite directions. So I'm going to explain a little bit here, and then I'm going to pause the YouTube camera. But unfortunately I can't pause live TV, and then, you know, it's not like a cooking show where all of a sudden we can pull our finished pie out of the oven here. So all I did is I put one of the needles through my finished side, my tooled side, the outside there, first, and then I pulled them to where they were nice and even. And now I'm going to go and I'm going to put the second needle through the next hole on the finish side. I'll pull it through, and then I'm going to come back with the other needle that was on the other side of the leather, put it through the exact same hole, and pull it all the way through. Now, consistency is the key to hand stitching. Every single time you put that needle through there, it should be going the exact same direction and everything. Like the angle you pull it, and I always pull it towards my chin so I know where I'm going with it. Then I put my other one in and pull it tight. And that way, every single stitch will look the same. If I pulled it a different direction, that one stitch would look different than all the others. So there we go.
Are we sold out of all of our pricking irons except for the 10?
I don't know.
I don't know, because we're not over there. I can't look.
Alright, well I'm going to pause the YouTube camera right quick while we finish sewing this up. And everybody can ask questions and stuff while we do that. Alright, so we've stitched all the way around this. We're back to the first stitch, and I'm just going to go ahead and go 2 more stitches past the first stitch, and that will lock all the stitches in. And then I'll show it to you. So there's 1 and 2.
I don't know when the pricking irons will be back in stock, because, you know, we got to ship them in, and depends on our suppliers.
The guy that makes our scavenging knives is the same guy that makes our pricking irons.
Yeah, so it's just kind of a wait and see kind of deal.
Okay. Now, I like to show this little tidbit during videos. When you are cutting your threads, take a really, really sharp scalpel or something like that, hold it down against the leather, and then lightly pull the thread against it to cut it. And what that'll do is, it'll make sure that you're not moving this thing, which will accidentally cut your leather, cut another stitch, stuff like that.
What's the difference between lacing chisels and stitching? It's kind of in the name, like lacing chisels for
lacing is for the lacing, which is, you know, if you were using the leather string that's 3/32 or 1/8 and doing the fancy braided edge, and then stitching is, you know, using a thread and stitching. Okay, so I promised you that we'd do something different on the edges here. So what I'm going to do is, what are y'all doing? They're awake now. They're going nuts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sand these edges down right quick, and then I'm going to use we're going to use our clear edge ink on this. Okay, so it's like a edge paint, edge coating, edge whatever, but it's clear. I need to use that and some sandpaper that I hope I have over here. There it is. Alright.
Just so y'all can see, there's, where'd it go? There they are. Here they are. Oh, they're so pretty.
Oscar and Myra. Yeah. Alright, so I'm going to sand this edge down right quick. I'm going over here. Other side of you.
I'm giving everybody, like, vertigo right now.
Okay, so this is my Cobra burnisher here. And I'm going to just very lightly sand these edges flush with each other, and that'll also help get rid of any glue that might be on them. Sorry YouTube, I forgot to pause the camera.
YouTube's okay. They expect that from you.
Right. And again, I'm just pressing it lightly on there because I don't want to actually accidentally burn the leather if I go too hard with it. Creating a lot of friction will burn the leather pretty easily, and then you get a pretty terrible edge. Alright, I'll grab a edger here. Berry King grooved edger size is 0 is the one I grabbed. I'm done with this.
Is the clear edge ink on the website?
I believe it is.
Yes, it is. Here, I'll show you the bottle real quick.
Okay.
What size grit is on that machine?
It is the 180 grit, I believe, or 120, whatever their finer of the two is. I want to say it's actually 120. It's a pretty coarse paper. This is 320 grit right here, and this is what I'm going to use with my edge ink.
Okay, Heather has a question. First of all, Heather, no question is stupid, but can you clean the sander tube?
Yeah, they make a little, it almost looks like a giant eraser. You can buy them at tool stores and stuff, and that's what they do, is they take all that crap out of the grit of the sandpaper and make it like new, so you don't always have to buy new sanding drums.
Thank you, LJ Stevens.
What do you say?
I'll just sharing it to some groups.
Hmm.
He's happy he caught it live.
Okay. Alright, so I rounded those with that Berry King size 0, and I'm just going to take a little bit of this 320 and lightly give it another quick sand. You can wet sand this too, and then it's almost like it's burnished. I mean, it's so smooth.
Okay, Cody says, I'm a little ignorant. Can you do any stamping or tooling on bridle leather?
Yes, you can, because bridle leather is vegetable tanned first. That's not my daughters. Bridle leather is vegetable tanned first. Now, I will tell you this, like I use a lot of English bridle from Wicked Craig, and it doesn't turn out the way you think it will. You know, it seems like it would get a really deep tooling burnish to it and stuff like that, and it just doesn't. So the tooling looks really kind of weird to me, but stamping is okay. Like I've done lots of basket stamping and stuff like that on bridle, so.
What do you mean by wet sand?
You can just get the edge wet and then sand it. Not soaking wet by any means, just a little bit. Sorry, that thing I just burned, Janie's like, oh God, I hate the smell.
Okay.
It smells like burnt carpet when I burn a dauber, but see that big old fuzzy dauber right there? See that finely burned, not a lot of extra hairs all over it dauber right there? Guess which one's more accurate? So, give my edge ink a little bit of a mix there. And all I'm going to do with this stuff is I'm going to take it and just run it right down the edge.
He lit the dauber on fire and burnt it a little bit, and it stinks like god awful, but it gets rid of all the fuzz and stuff. So it makes it really nice and smooth.
Yeah, if you live in like an apartment or something like that, or if you have a wife that just doesn't appreciate the smell of a good burnt dauber, like I do. Alright, so this edge ink, the clear here, I'm just putting it on the edge and we're going to let it dry for a few minutes. Once it's dry, I'm going to sand it again. Then rinse and repeat. Yeah, but no, I'm going to sand it again with that 320 grit sandpaper, and then I'm going to reapply it.
Do you dye before you burnish edges?
If I'm burnishing them, yes, I will dye them first. This stuff, you cannot dye them first because, again, we're going to sand them and it'll just come out uneven because it'll sand more in some places than others. So you can't with this stuff. But this is an edge ink and we make it in all kinds of different colors. There's a bunch of different brands out there for edge paints and edge inks and stuff like that. And again, they're in all kinds of colors. This is the clear one. I really like it. Basically, it's the same stuff that's in a bottle of black edge ink, except it doesn't have the pigmentation to it. So I'm just going to set that there, and we're going to stare at each other for a while it's getting ready. Don't do a close-up. God, I have a terrible face from 50 feet away.
You wanted to stare at everybody. I was just letting you
I can stare from afar. I did it for you for 2 years before you knew.
Oh, Lord.
Alright, so I'm just going to take and kind of flap this in the breeze a little bit and speed up the drying process. I really like the indelible edge ink because of this exact reason. The drying time is very quick. I used to use the Fenice brand. It's much, much thicker liquid. And granted, you could get a heavier coat on there with it because of that, but it took forever to dry. And I mean, like waiting 5-6 hours in between coats for it to dry when it takes 3 coats to finish. I mean, basically you have to have a whole day to dedicate to your edges. When this stuff, it'll be dry in a few minutes. I can sand it, do it again. It'll be dry in a few minutes, and I can sand it and do it again.
And you had the black over there?
Yeah, this is a bottle of the black. I wasn't sure which leather I was going to use. If I was using this brown leather that I did the brand on in the beginning of the video, then I would have used the black, but I didn't like how the brand turned out.
Does it have a rubbery, flexible feel to it?
Not rubbery, but it's extremely flexible. Almost dry. There's a couple of spots. You can tell if it still looks a little bit white, it's not dry yet. I did this demonstration in a class that Bob Park puts on at all the shows about edges and stuff, and he had I'd never used one before, but he had a hairdryer sitting there that, you know, just no heat, just air, and man, it dried it quick. I mean, in a matter of like a minute and a half, it was dry and ready to go. So I may have to look around the guest bathroom at the house and see if there's a hairdryer in there that I can steal. It's not like we ever have guests. Alright, I'm just going to wipe the rest of the wet off so that we can go ahead and sand this. And, yeah, there's just 2 little spots there. Alright, so, just like I did a while ago, I'm going to take my sandpaper, and it's really going to feel like you're being counterproductive and taking all that away, and you are. But what you're doing is you're sanding it off the high spots and leaving it in the low spots. And when you recoat it, then it'll bring up all the low spots to the high spots, and it'll start to be more even.
Are you coming out with any new templates?
I don't know, what do you want to see?
Good question. Rachel, I'm interested in indelibles. Do they have a sample of each color?
I mean, we have a lot of different colors on our website of their stuff.
And they're constantly coming out with new colors. So
Yeah.
you just kind of got to watch.
That's one of those, if you're willing to buy 5 gallons of it, they'll even color match for you.
And if you watch our Facebook, we always, like our new stuff and everything hits Facebook when we have like little sales or discounts or stuff. So you really should follow Facebook makers.
Alright, so I sanded it down, and again, it doesn't even look like it's there anymore because most of it has been sanded away, but there's not a single fuzzy on there. Like, that's the difference. If you could feel this, it already feels a lot smoother.
Oh, that is nice.
And we'll put a second coat on it.
Do you use a Dremel tool for sanding?
I used to, but I just usually use that big old leather machine company burnisher because it's sitting there and I don't have to find my Dremel.
Idea of when Ron's Edge Rub will be back in stock?
I need to order some, to be perfectly honest. We some of the things that we sell, when this whole pandemic started, we kind of cut back on some of the things we order because, well, we didn't know what this was going to do, and I need to be able to pay my people as long as I can because I got to take care of the people that take care of me. So anyway, now that we've realized that, okay, yeah, things have changed, but we're fine, we're ordering more stuff and getting more stuff in. Alright, so here's the second coat, and we'll start flapping it in the wind again.
Do you know when you'll have the 100 pack of daubers back in?
I honestly didn't know we were out. We can order some more. It'll probably be a little bit though, because those also come from overseas. Anything that we're out of right now is usually because it's from overseas, and we're just not trying to import a bunch of stuff during all this craziness. We don't like importing most things. We try to get as much American made in here as we can. That's kind of what we were built on. The second coat dries much faster than the first because it's all kind of smooth and it's not in all the depths and stuff.
So if you had the colored edge ink, you would do the same process that
Exact
you're
same
doing
process.
now. Okay,
Yep.
there you go, Jesus. Have you ever thought about doing koozie templates for bottles and our cans?
Wouldn't be a difficult one to put together. Put that on your notebook.
Yeah.
We've had folks recently asking for spur straps also, so I mean that's another one that I can.
Well, I thought we had some.
We have
The
clicker dies to like sell spur straps already cut out, but for people to cut their own.
Yeah.
All right, it's almost there. There's just this one little spot right here that's still white. But I'm gonna let Janie get a close up of it as soon as I get it kind of dry, and then we'll keep going.
So close.
Okay, once again, I'm just gonna wipe off the dot there. All right, so Janie can get a shot of that maybe, and make it to where it's.
That's so much better. Okay.
All right, and you can already see that it's smoothing out and getting real nice and regular all the way around. Oh, it almost did it, and then it focused on me again. Silly YouTube camera. All right, so I'm gonna sand it one more again, and then I'm gonna put another coat of that on it right quick. Then we're gonna stick our money clip in here, and I'll show you how I fold it over and make the money clip sit. By this point, it shouldn't take a lot of sanding. You know, you should have sanded the first sanding or two to get it smooth. You know, like at this point, we're just getting it nice and even across. The smoothing was all done beforehand. So, last coat coming strong. And it's one of those, like normally 3 coats will get it good if I didn't miss a good spot or, you know, not sand well or something like that. But, I mean, if you need to do 5 coats, do 5 coats. If you want to just keep on going with those coats, go for it. Okay, I have the film, these 3 will be just fine. So I'm gonna start fanning it, and I'm also gonna grab my my oil that I'm gonna oil this thing up with. It's also from the Indelible Company. There it is.
What is the tobacco blend of choice for your pipes? I'm partial to C and D and Haunted Bookshop.
My stuff that I buy in bulk is Lane Limited 1Q. What do you mean?
To show the notches while you're talking on the inside, to show the sewing, so they can see that.
Lane Limited is the brand, 1Q is the mixture, but I also, as far as tin tobacco, to buy the little tins, I really like one called Embassy from Cult.
Okay, do you normally not round your edges?
I did.
Corners, I'm sorry. But.
Oh, I sewed kind of close to the corners here. I did fully intend to round them. I've actually really bragged on a tool that Tandy has, their corner cutting punch. I love that silly thing, and
yeah, it's awesome. Tandy, can you throw up that
yeah, the link
to that, because that's amazing.
Here it is. The one I use the most is the small one, the size, the last two numbers on it are the 00. That's the one I use the most, but they have them in 3 different sizes, and they are an awesome, awesome tool to use.
Can you use anything else in place of a dauber?
You could use, I mean, I guess you could use a paintbrush or even a piece of cloth or something. You could use one of those edge rollers for edge paints and stuff. But I like the dauber. They're cheap. I can throw them away. All right, this thing's about dry. Now I went and got some money clips, but I don't know where I put them.
Yeah, they were like over there. They are.
All right, so money clips. Let's talk about money clips.
And I know Tandy has daubers too.
Yep, Tandy has daubers, and then also Tandy has money clips. Now I will tell you this: people have told me that, oh, hey, I made your wallet, but the money clip hangs out. You know, they make these in all different sizes because currencies all over the world are different sizes. The ones I buy are 75 millimeter, which I believe is 3 inches. And that's what all my templates and patterns are based off of, is that size. There are 2 different styles. This one right here has a spring in it, so the wallet's going to be more flexible in your pocket. And then this one has a solid bar to it. It looks a little bit stronger made and everything, but honestly, I'm kind of partial to the spring one for a couple of reasons. I also like on the spring one, this arm here goes up higher than it does on the bar one. So those very rare occasions that I actually have a couple of more dollars to put in it, this one allows more room. So, all right, I'm going to take and fold this sucker in half and just kind of pinch it down. Okay, now I will take my scratch awl, and I'm going to open up my little area here for my money clip.
Now, do you need to oil it first or no?
I can oil
it doesn't
whenever,
matter.
Yeah. So I'm going to open and stretch this up a little bit for my money clip to go into. Dang it, I keep closing it back with the money clip. I don't make that hole too big because I want the money clip to stay in it and not just come out on its own. There we go. All right. Then I want the money clip to come out on the other side so I know it's gone straight across the wallet. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give the inside of this wallet just a little bit of a spray. And if you can tell, the edges of that money clip are right at the edges of the wallet, which is exactly what we want. Okay? When I fold it closed, looks like that. But I am going to take and just lightly spray the inside with some water. And I'm going to basically form it around that clip so that it holds nicely. I can do that with anything. I'm just going to use my scratch awl, but I'm going to make sure to do it in a manner that it doesn't like try to cut the leather, but I want it to crease the leather like that. Okay, much more professional look to it, and then when it closes, it will close on those creases.
Hold on.
Sorry.
There we go.
And it'll look really nice.
Perfecto.
All right, and there it is for the YouTube camera. There it is, closed and open.
Perfecto.
All right, now, so your cards go in that area. Which one of my cards has the least amount of personal information on it? So the cards will go in just like that, and they fit on both ends, and when this is closed, they don't slide too far, they don't slide out. And then, you know, of course, money goes into the money clipper area here. I don't think I have any, or I would show you. got a couple of bucks. So the money clipper, we open up, put our money in, close it up, and there we go, money clipper. So I am going to use this indelible conditioning oil right quick on the outside of this wallet. Once that inside dries where I just got it wet, I'll go ahead and use it in there too. But it's really going to do some magic on this stamping that we did.
And we like magic.
We do. So the whole thing will initially get dark, but when it lightens up, that tooling is going to really be darker.
How long does it take to dry?
Just a few minutes you'll start noticing,
Yeah.
but a lot of the time, like let's say I was going to put some sort of sealant or finish on this, I would let it set overnight before I did that. I would oil it, let it set overnight, and then the next day it would be
ready to go.
Ready to go. So I've got time for some last minute questions, and then that's going to be it for the week, folks, and we'll start all this again next week.
Will neat's foot oil work okay?
Yes, neat's foot oil is, I'm not super impressed with it, don't get me wrong. It's not a bad thing by any means, but there's just better oils out there to help you get some tooling burnish and stuff like that. I have seen some people that are like, oh, neat's foot oil is terrible for leather. Well, they've been selling it for like 100 years, so I don't know how terrible it could be if it's been one of the leading products for that long.
Jim says it looks like the clip would be loose.
Until this thing's kind of broken in, it will seem that way. You know, it needs to be, while it's folded shut and everything, it'll kind of find its home in there, and it won't try to come out like it did when I opened it up a while ago. And it did try to slide out a while ago when I opened it.
Well, yeah, because you're kind of wet forming it, right?
Yeah, I mean, the inside's wet right now. It'll, as it dries, it's going to cinch in and shrink a tiny bit, and because it's only 3-ounce leather, so it's going to be pretty malleable when it's wet.
Get it really close in there so you can see.
Get that on the camera.
I'm not.
All right. Well, anybody got anything else?
What have you used today to condition the wallet?
Just that oil. That's all I put on it.
Let's see the bottle.
Indelible conditioning oil. And I use a piece of shearling to put it on. And I just keep using the same piece of shearling. I'll put it back up there nice and oily, and it'll be ready to go the next time I need it to.
Wanda said thank you again very much.
Thanks for watching. Hopefully you learned something, or at least were mildly entertained for an hour and a half.
That's all that takes. Yeah. All right, so put the other product back out there so they can see it just one more time. Hey guys, love your templates, top notch. And we want to thank Tandy for joining in.
Yep. We appreciate their help, and of course they sell our templates and stuff, and maybe one day they'll decide that indelible stuff is kind of cool. Maybe they'll sell it too. Who knows?
Who knows? Maybe one day we can have one of the Tandy people come in for our videos.
That's what I think. They should moderate just like you do, and then 2 different people reading from 2 different screens.
That'd be awesome.
I agree.
Okay, so you want me to hit the finish button?
All right, folks, if there's nothing else, really appreciate it. Again, I'm Aaron Heiser and Janie Sue Heiser from Maker's Leather Supply, and thank you so much for joining us. Y'all have a great day.